Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Psychic medium Helene Olsen and paranormal researcher Patricia Baker. Here are Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Supernatural Girls. And that would be myself, Helene Olsen, and my fabulous partner in crime, Patricia Baker. Hello, Patricia.
Hello, Helene. Hello to all of our guests and the listening audience. This is going to be one heck of a show.
You know, I'm a medium. You're a medium. There are a lot of mediums who work out there, but this whole idea of the Scole Experiment is so out there. It's so incredulous that even watching the movie that we have linked up on the supernaturalgirls.com website was really exciting for me. I just couldn't believe my eyes, and I actually believe, you know, the results they got with their experiments. I find them to be absolutely true, but boy, is it wild.
It is wild, wild stuff. And then this is the stuff, quite honestly, I think we've all been waiting for. And unfortunately, the Scole Experiment took place in the UK, and it has been very underreported everywhere else, especially here in the United States. So many people are unaware of what took place in the Scole Experiment, all of the different things that happen, from the apports to the lights to the materializations and the film. It just goes on. And this is what we've been waiting for, quite honestly. This type of proof.
You know, the experiment went on for 5 years, Patricia. I don't know. I have a hard time committing sometimes for 5 minutes, you know. You know, my family complains that I'm distracted and start something and don't finish it and, you know, whatever. But I just can't believe the dedication of this group of people who sat for the same appointment every week for 5 years.
It's amazing, and I really applaud their dedication and persistence to bring us this type of evidence that we're going to be discussing tonight with our guest, ROBIN FOY, who was a member of the investigative team and also an author of the book Witnessing the Impossible, which is a terrific title and I think says it all. It does seem impossible, but it isn't. I mean, you and I both know, and many of our audience members know, that there is life after death. And we certainly have had a lot of interesting experiences since we've been in touch with Robin, haven't we, Helene?
Oh, do we have to discuss it?
Oh, gosh. Well, look, usually at the beginning of every show, you know, I introduce the paranormal news. Well, this week, Helene and I are the paranormal news, and it's a direct result of our experience with ROBIN FOY and talking with him and chatting via email back and forth about the experiment. And, Helene, I'm going to let you start with what happened to you, and then I'll share my experience from there.
Okay. I don't know what night it was this week. Was it Monday night or Tuesday night? There was just a lot of really vibrant energy around, and I was getting a lot of different communication from different realms, and suddenly this gentleman came in and started chatting quite clearly about how he wants to connect back with this author that we're having on tonight, ROBIN FOY, who was, you know, fully involved in the experiment for 5 years. And he gave me a name, and he was very formal and clearly an old spirit in the sense that I felt he was from the early part of the 20th century, like 1910, 1920, that kind of time era. He's a very formal fellow, very lovely. and he just wanted to keep talking to me. And I said, I can't talk to you right now, but we'll see what happens. And I was kind of shocked, and I called you, Patricia, right?
You did, and
now before you go on with your whole thing that happened to you, because that was amazing, I do have to say that often when we're open for mediumship, and it doesn't happen to me so much anymore because I'm pretty good at keeping a lid on the rest of my life,
Right.
But spirits do come ahead of an appointment. If I have an appointment to talk to Susie Q, and she's going to ask about her mother who passed, her beloved mother, sometimes they come ahead of time.
Right.
And so that's just normal course with mediums.
Right.
Yeah, they already got the information. They've already connected to the idea that this other client is walking around saying, I'm going to talk to a medium about my mother. And then they get the message and they find my telephone somehow because of my connection with the client. And that's exactly what happened this time. So that's not really an unusual occurrence for spirits to kind of step forward ahead of time or whatever. But now you go ahead and tell what happened to you last night.
Well, yes, it was quite an adventure. I mean, first of all, I want to say to everybody, I'm nowhere near the medium that Helene is, but since I've been hanging around Helene, I've been experiencing more dead people. So it's been an adventure just knowing Helene, because just being around you, Helene, the whole atmosphere has changed, and apparently these beings think that I'm available like you are. So last night...
Well, you are now, Patricia.
Now I am. I guess it's open. The door has swung open, and here they come. So last night I'm sound asleep, and normally I sleep till, around 3 or 4, and then I torment myself. I wake up, and I can't go back to sleep. But that's not what happened last night. Last night I woke up around 1:15, 1:30 in the morning, and my room, the bedroom, was filled with dead people. And these were all people that had been involved in the Scole Experiment. So they were all dressed in their period dress, very formal dress. There was one woman in a lace dress that was absolutely beautiful, and she told me she really loved it, and they buried her in that, and she was very happy with that. So the thing that was so strange about it for me, this is the first time this has ever happened, they were touching me, and I could feel it. I mean, they were touching my arm, and they were touching my shoulder, and I could feel it just as if they were in life with me, touching me. It was really bizarre. And I wasn't afraid, because I generally am not afraid of things like that, as you know, Helene. That stuff doesn't faze me at all, but it was unusual. This was the first time that I felt this type of materialization, and it was extraordinary. And I would imagine that this is just a small piece of what can really happen when someone is a physical medium and they're able to bring objects through and more. I mean, so much more is what happened when it came to this particular experiment. But it inspired me, and I was thinking, you and I should probably get involved in some type of experiment like this and see if we can produce here in the United States similar results. Now, would you be up for that?
I don't know, Patricia. I have to think about it a little more.
I think I could see this now. I'm seeing this in my mind's eye, like, on Sci-Fi or the Biography Channel or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got to be done. United States, we've really lagged behind in this kind of thing. And as you know, it's a lot of it in the past has been just swept under the rug. But now paranormal is the new normal. So not everybody, but many, many people in mainstream are terrifically fascinated by this whole subject. And I think it's about time we did an experiment like this here.
Well, it's really interesting that those spirits came through and were so physical near you, and I think we discussed that earlier today. Ghosts who are stuck on the earthly plane are very able to use their energy that way. But normally, spirits on the other side, it's very hard for them to project that way so that you can actually feel them touching you and things like that. And I really believe that this experiment, the Scole Experiment, over 5 years, actually empowered these spirits, sort of amped up their ability, and also created its own energy stream and portal for them to use so that they could extend their energy in this magnificent way. And
I agree.
so, you know, what
think...
happened to me today, they just, once you started talking about it again, Patricia, they were swarming my third eye, and I'm still seeing them standing there. They are very patiently waiting their turn, and there is a horde of them. You mentioned something like 22 beings. I don't know. I can't count them. They're just standing there, and there's a whole bunch.
So we're going to get some of them on the radio tonight. I know they've been waiting for their chance. And again, this is all good energy. This is not anything scary. This is these people who are coming through. They're all really dedicated, just as dedicated as the mediums are and were on this side. They're just as dedicated and persistent on the other side. And it does seem like they have this amazing power in their group. So it's not just one of them that wants to come through. They come through as a group, it seems. Would you agree?
Oh, I think they're coming through as an entirely very connected collective of people who were very attracted to or brought into the Scole Experiment, because the mediums who sat for this did create an energy stream or a portal of connection to them. And so it's fascinating for them to be able to get through in this way in such a strong manner and perfectly clear, you know.
It was amazingly powerful last night, and the ability that they had to make themselves known. And like I said, it was much different than any other experience I've had in talking to someone who has passed. Mm-hmm. This group energy is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's quite intense and powerful and very exciting. That's why I would like to see if we can go a little further with this and maybe do something with a television experiment, you know, where it can be filmed and people can watch what's happening as we are attempting to communicate with this same group of people who really wants to talk. They got a lot to say.
They do, but I think that our guest, Robin Foy, is on the line now. Should I bring him on?
Please, let's bring Robin on.
All right. Hold on. Robin Foy, this is Helene Olsen, and you're live on the air. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, Helene.
Hi.
Hi,
nice
Robin, and this is Patricia Baker. Thank you so much for waking up in the dead of night over there in Spain and giving us a call.
Yeah.
God bless you. That's real commitment on your part. I don't know if I could wake up and do that. So we are really honored, and we appreciate your spending your time with us. I don't know if you heard.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you heard. We were talking about beings that have come through to both Patricia and I over the last week in connection with your Scole Experiment. So maybe you can give the audience. Maybe you can give the audience some background on how all of this started and how you got involved.
Well, my wife and I have been involved in psychic research now for 39 years, nearly 40 years. And in each case, we really come into it through physical mediumship and physical phenomena, which is reality, basically, because with physical mediumship and the phenomena that takes place, everybody that's involved at the time in a seance can actually see and hear what's going on. It's unlike mental mediumship because of the fact that with mental mediumship, the medium hears, the medium sees, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and then passes the message on to the recipient. With physical mediumship, real things happen, such as spirit lights that everybody can see, such as independent voices coming from midair that everybody can hear, and even materializations where materialized spirit beings actually come into the room with you, and you're able to sort of mix with them and talk with them, and all of these things happened at Scole and more besides. But over the years, Sandra and I have, as I say, been involved in physical mediumship right from the start. We've sat with many famous mediums in the past, most of them actually themselves in the spirit world now, but we had the opportunity to see some wonderful things with various physical mediums, all of it done with ectoplasm, which is a traditional way of producing physical mediumship and physical phenomena. we had various circles over the years. We started and we continued. In some, we built up some amazing phenomena ourselves, independent voice, for instance. And in others, it was very much a question of being like a cul-de-sac, so that we got so far in, and then we couldn't go any further. We had to turn around, come back, and start again. But eventually, Spirit actually led us to this house in Scole, which is a small village in the county of Norfolk in the UK, right on the borders of the two counties, Norfolk and Suffolk. And this house was quite wonderful. We were told
ley line there
by several mediums beforehand, that it was we were going to get something really special there, and we did.
I was just told, Robin, that there was a ley line there as well. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely right. In fact, the major ley line in the UK is actually a dual ley line, which was known as the Michael and Mary line. And this ran all the way from St Michael's Mount in Cornwall right up through the UK. Cornwall is actually at the southwest point of England, and came right up through the UK, through a lot of sacred sites, and ended up on the coast, on the eastern coast, which is near where we lived, and passed immediately through Scole. So you're spot on there.
Okay,
wow. How about
you want to
that?
hear something interesting, Robin? My guide, my gatekeeper, who I recently got about 6 months ago, a new one, told me he was from Cornwall. And I was able to find his family history there. So he's like jumping up and down. He just said, there's a ley line there. There's a ley line. So that's interesting. Okay, well, whatever. Thank you, John. Well, I need to ask you a question about physical mediumship, because the idea of physical mediumship makes me very uncomfortable. But there has been many occasions in my own house where everybody in the house hears the voice or hears the footsteps, okay? And some of them are not mediums. So that would be considered physical mediumship. But is that happening because of me, or is that just something that spirits are able to do naturally?
I would imagine basically that is not to do necessarily with you as such, but is a combination of the energies around at that time, which make it possible for such things to be heard and felt. But the work we did at Scole over the 5-year period of the Scole Experiment was very much of a pioneering nature, because, as I said earlier, the majority of physical phenomena in the past had been produced through one medium who exuded ectoplasm, and the phenomena happened because of the ectoplasm. What we did at Scole was totally different. It was very much a pioneering effort between us and with a loving spirit team who we cooperated with, and they were producing physical phenomena in a brand new way, which had not been done in a controlled way before.
And I want to add right here,
done purely with energy.
Yeah, and I want to add right here that everybody should go to supernaturalgirls.com, where we have a link to the YouTube movie, which was extremely well done. It was a beautiful documentary, right, Patricia?
Oh, it was fantastic, and it really cataloged everything that occurred in a reasonable, logical manner, and showed it. I mean, you can see for yourself what the Scole Experiment attained. It was just remarkable experience there. And let me also ask you, Robin, another question that just came into the chat room from one of our guests, and he or she, I can't tell, is asking, there was a statement made on the Internet that the reason that the Scole Experiment was stopped was due to interference from a person from the future. Now, is that true, or is that just somebody making things up on the Internet?
No, it wasn't a person as such. What it was actually a group of psychic researchers sitting very much like ourselves in a group to try and link in. But unfortunately, these people were in the future. Nothing bad about them in any way, shape, or form. But unfortunately, they were using, as we were told, what was known as a crystal probe, which was one way of linking into other groups who were doing similar work. Unfortunately, they were in our future, and because of that, we got so much interference from the crystals. In fact, there was a screeching noise which prevented our two mediums from being in deep trance. They were in deep trance throughout most of our sittings, and they weren't able to sort of stay in trance because of this sort of screeching coming from the crystal probe in the future. And our spirit team tried very hard to overcome the problem. In the end, they weren't able to do so, and so it was actually closed down. We lost contact with our own spirit team, but the whole thing was eventually closed down by a being who called himself, I mean, he was not a human as such, but he was from other dimensions, and we rather gathered that he was perhaps a lord of the cosmos, and there is a sort of an organization, if you like, or a hierarchy that oversees a lot of these experiments. This chap was called Varon Herik, and we actually captured him on a video recorder as he was speaking to us, both his voice and an outline of himself against a wonderful backdrop of the spirit world as such, speaking to us and telling us that unfortunately they hadn't been able to sort of correct the problem. Therefore, we had to disband the Scole Experiment, and that's how it finished.
Oh, my goodness. Well, and this crystal probe, was it creating the screeching noise that you could all hear? I mean, if the tape was running, you'd be able to play it back and hear it, or was this something?
Oh, absolutely. It was, it was impossible to for them to remain in trance because of it. And unfortunately, the other thing that this Varon Herik told us in the end was that there are certain things that are not allowed in the cosmos, and one of these is that we are not allowed any feedback at this stage from people in the future, because if knowledge was passed down from the future, it could change the future. That was the whole idea, and so unfortunately it had to come to an end.
Oh, my goodness. Huh. That is just fascinating. So you started out basically with your spirit team that was from the past, and that was okay, that was kosher. But then when these beings from the future started to involve themselves, that's when it all had to come to an end. That's fascinating.
Well, that's right. The whole of the Scole Experiment was very much on a sort of experimental basis and a pioneering basis. And the way that access was gained to other dimensions, because towards the end of the Scole Experiment, we were actually in touch, again with the cooperation and liaison of the spirit team, with beings from other dimensions and, in fact, other worlds. And we had voice-to-voice contact with some of these characters. And in order for that to happen, there had to be a portal in the room, and in fact, through this portal, I mean, the portal they used was actually a mirror we had in the room for Project Alice, which was to do with the video recorder, and the mirror actually acted as the portal for some of these beings to access us and into the future slightly. The intention was that we would be able to link with people in our very close future, say within the next 10 years, which was not a problem. But in fact, the beings that they, because of the experiment, the portal was made too big by the spirit world, and so the access to the future became over 100 years, and that was why, in the end, it had to be stopped.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we had discussed just before you got on the air that I was told yesterday that the reason why these, generally, well, let me go back a little bit, ghosts that are sort of on this plane, they are able to really extend their energy, disrupt electricity, come up and touch you and all that, and generally spirits that have been gone a long time aren't really able to extend that kind of power. and the information I got said that a portal was created for them and a whole energy stream, and that's how they were able to sort of come through it in such a strong and powerful way. Does that make sense to you, Robin?
Yes, it does. In fact, when these beings sort of, I say materialized, they weren't actually materialized in the way that ectoplasm forms a spirit personality. But if you think of Star Trek, in fact, the way that people were teleported from place to place, that's exactly how it was done with us. And spirit people were literally teleported from the spirit world into the room in which we were sitting, and there they were, solid.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
I mean, that must have been rather shocking now, because I understand that you also sometimes had guests in the room. It wasn't just the team. So it must have been rather startling.
Absolutely. We had seminars at different stages, and we demonstrated this in the phenomena in different parts of the world, including a sort of 3-week stint in California.
Oh, my goodness. So you actually took the group to California? Is that what you're saying?
We did, yes, yeah.
And you did the same thing there?
We were hosted by an English medium who lives in Los Angeles called Brian Hurst. And we had several sittings there over a 3-week period. And also, we did a sitting in Mill Valley, just away from San Francisco, for a load of scientists, some of them coming from NASA. And we had some amazing phenomena there as well.
So, Robin, I already have enough people in my house.
Right.
Like I'm overloaded here. We're just too many people living here. So did these beings stay and come and visit at will, or was it just while you were sitting and opening access?
No. It was whilst we were sitting. They were never accessing us physically, other than the times we sat, which was 2 or 3 times a week generally.
So you did 2 or 3 times a week for 5 years?
We did, yes.
Wow.
And we actually catalogued over 1,000 hours of phenomena in that time.
Incredible.
Incredible
dedication.
Incredible dedication, and you produced just incredible evidence, which I can't believe anybody can ignore at this point. I mean, people, I think, really need to take a look at this, and if you're at all on the fence about this, you need to take a look at this video. You also need to read Robin's book, Witnessing the Impossible, and really get an up-close and personal look at all of these pieces of evidence that have been created. It's just amazing what you've accomplished. Now, how many people were in your group, Robin? How many mediums?
There were 2 mediums. We started out with 7 people in the group. And then we got phenomena with the 7 people, and gradually through natural wastage, people leaving because of personal circumstances, we ended up with 4, and the majority of the work done by the group was actually done by just the 4 of us, my wife and I, and another couple who were the 2 mediums who were always in deep trance, apart from a couple of times when they were brought out to actually see the phenomena, but otherwise they were in deep trance throughout.
Well, we need to take this opportunity to put some commercials on the air and take a little break, Robin. So if you could just give everybody your website where they can find your book and information about you, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. My book site basically is www.ScoleExperiment.com, and the book is on there, Witnessing the Impossible, as well as a book that was dictated for us by the spirit world, which is basically a basic guide as to how to actually obtain this phenomena yourselves. Many of these copies have been sold, and lots of people all over the world now are using this method and getting successful results.
Well, I'm going to buy the book. You've convinced me, so I definitely going to buy both of these books because the subject is amazing. And so everybody, please stay with us. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. If you have a question for Robin, please call in at 646-478-0511. and press 1. We have 2 excellent call screeners this evening, Jess and Megan, and they will go into the chat room with you, into the mute room with you, ask you what your question is, and then we will know that we've got to take a question from you and ask Robin. So stay tuned, everybody.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records.
Sometimes life can be a challenge. Would you like insight and guidance to help you make the best choices right now? Contact Helene at angelslighthouse.com to make your personal appointment for a psychic reading or energy alignment. Helene is a direct channel to the angelic realm and is remarkably capable of connecting to the living as well as to your loved ones on the other side. Helene is available to clients all over the world via phone or Skype, and it's simple to set up a group reading anywhere. Visit angelslighthouse.com, where you'll find an easy way to schedule right online. And while you're there, sign up for the Angels Lighthouse newsletter and receive information on all the free energy circles, giveaways, and jewelry with a message. Visit angelslighthouse.com and contact Helene today.
Well, I certainly apologize for my own screw-up. That was really bad.
What did you do?
I tried to put my pointer on the next commercial, and I must have passed it over a little too high.
That's okay.
So I'll play the book commercial twice next time.
No, don't you dare. I'm sure nobody missed it. But
it's live radio. What can I say?
It's live radio, and we're all anxious to talk to Robin about this fascinating subject. I know, we have to play our commercials for our sponsors, but my goodness, it just has me jumping up and down. I'm just thrilled, Robin, that you're on the air with us this evening, and you're giving us such terrific information about what happened in that experiment over 5 years. This is great. We've got a bunch of questions that people want to ask you, too.
Okay. Should we bring on a question now, or?
Yeah, let's bring somebody
you're very welcome,
on now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's welcome Rebecca. Rebecca, you're live on the air.
Hi.
Hi, Rebecca. Do you have a question for our guest?
Yeah, I in my early 20s, I'm 48 now. I was awoken and by this intense feeling on my chest, like a pressure. And over the other side of the room, which was a very small room, there was a big green orb kind of floating. And I was wondering, because it was so physical, and I am actually really interested in orbs now, and I catch them on film, but it was so real. It was definitely real. It was not a dream, and it was so present and physical to me. I was just wondering if anybody there had any information or ideas about what that might have been, and maybe a little more information on what the orbs are these days showing up in all the photographs?
Well, my own opinion on orbs is, I mean, it's only really the last 20 years, I suppose, that these have started to come about so often. And generally speaking, they're gotten on sort of on one of the digital cameras these days more than anything else. But it is a way of the spirit world communicating with us, and it is a more of a physical way. But the interesting thing, of course, is that technology in the spirit world has altered dramatically in the same way that it has in this world. When you think about how rapid the progress has been with computers and various technical things over the last 20, 30 years, of course, it must be exactly the same in the spirit world. So orbs are a newer way, perhaps, of the spirit world contacting us, and from what I can make out, and I have a website where I've got over 2,200 members all over the world, many of whom are sort of getting these orbs on a constant basis, and they do seem to develop. If you're interested in developing these orbs, people are experiencing them in a physical way at home. They're always benevolent. Personally, in nearly 40 years, I've never come across what you might call a bad spirit. Always loving energy, loving spirit personalities, and a lot of people now are getting more interested in actually developing some form of phenomena themselves, and orbs are a way of the spirit world trying to let you know they're around.
Okay, yeah, I had done an Arcturian activation, which was kind of creating a corridor of light, and I replicated it here at home. I did it with Jean Ang, who does that out in California, and that's when I got a huge amount coming to my home. And
right.
I didn't know if it was related necessarily to the Arcturians or if the orbs were attracted to that sort of connection. But that green
I think that it is definitely to do with other dimensions to a certain extent.
It is, but the green light to me means, Arcturian or good otherworldly energy, if I can put it that way, because I have seen that particular color, and I'm getting that you saw a very bright green. It's almost iridescent light. It's almost an iridescent lime green that you got.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a long time ago. Do you think it was something like something to portend what may come to me later in life?
And I reckon that really the fact that you had been doing some work on this particular subject really gave them the opportunity to contact you. And I would imagine that if you wanted to develop this further, then you would be able to do so.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thanks, and I'll definitely look up your website. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the call,
Thanks.
Rebecca.
Thank you. Take care.
That was an interesting call.
Yeah, very much so, because of the fact that today we're getting more and more indication of communication coming from the other dimensions. Now, 30 years ago, this was never heard of, and people wouldn't accept it. But today it seems quite normal that we're getting these communications from other dimensions. At Scole, we actually had the most remarkable communications, voice-to-voice communications with these other worlds. And that was done because Thomas Edison, in the spirit world, actually asked us to build a simple little device, which we called our TDC, standing for Trans-Dimensional Communication Device. He put a blueprint. He actually, he actually drew a blueprint on an unopened 35 millimeter film, which showed us how this thing was built and how to put it together. And we did this And after a long period of working with the spirit team, we actually managed to get this thing going so that we had voice-to-voice communication, both with the spirit world through it, and also with other dimensions. And the very first person...
I don't know, my opinion is that so many other dimensions are coming through because of all the shifting energy around the planet and the fact that the veil is just thinner than it was even 10 years ago. What do you think of that?
That's quite right. And, of course, the first person that spoke through this device to us was Edison himself for 15 minutes. We have that on tape.
Oh, my goodness. Now, that wasn't on the video that we saw, was it, Helene?
Well, no. You see, a lot of the stuff to do with the video was about the earlier work. These other types of work that we did sort of came about later on in the group's history.
Oh my goodness! So you actually heard
we
Edison's
actually
voice.
have four different methods of communicating, and voice-to-voice communication that actually occurred during that were developed during the group. And the first one was deep trance, and that was how we got the first instructions from the spirit team, who made an awful lot of effort to prove themselves to us, to identify themselves to us, although to everybody else they used pseudonyms. But we had fantastic evidence of who they were and what it was all about. And then we also got what we were told to call energy voices. They were independent voices that came out of midair, but it wasn't done with ectoplasm, it was done with energy. And these were quite loud, and it was just as though somebody was in the room with us, and the person communicating could speak for anything up to half an hour, have a long talk with everybody in the room. We've very often had visitors with us there, and that was quite amazing. And then also we got voice-to-voice communications through this trans-dimensional communication device. Plus, before that, we had voice-to-voice communication with the spirit world simply through a cassette tape recorder plugged, they used the amplifier of the cassette tape recorder to talk to us. So we're able to sort of carry on a conversation without using a human medium.
Now, that was fascinating, and that was in the video, because I remember that really was incredible. The voice that came through was very strong and clear and powerful. It wasn't like a typical EVP, which those things I can never figure them out. So when it came to this cassette, I mean, my God, I was like, it was just like talking to you guys on the phone tonight. It was that clear.
That's how it was, yes.
It was amazing, just amazing. And that guy had quite a sense of humor, too, which I imagine you find with a number of the spirits that you spoke with. There's quite a ton of
they all had
humor.
A fantastic sense of humor, yes.
And from what you're saying, as we are evolving, not only our technology is evolving, but our consciousness, hopefully, is evolving. It sounds like the same process is happening on the other side. Is that what you found?
Exactly, and that, of course, is why I think they were using this energy, which has an awful lot of advantages over the more traditional way where ectoplasm's used. That was actually quite dangerous for the medium who was exuding ectoplasm, because if somebody in the seance did something silly when ectoplasm was being used, such as switching on a light or causing a shock of some sort, it has in the past been known to kill a medium when the ectoplasm is shot back into the body.
Wow.
And that's exactly how a very famous physical medium died in the UK, Helene Duncan, who was a very famous materialization medium. One of her seances was raided by the police, and the ectoplasm at the time shot back into her body. Within 3 weeks, she was dead. And that's happened on more than one occasion. So it can be dangerous using the traditional method. However, the method that they use with us is 100% safe to the mediums and the sitters. It has a lot of advantages. Apart from anything else, it's quicker to develop physical phenomena using this method, which is safe. It can be done in months rather than the traditional ectoplasmic-based mediumship took years to really come about in any way, shape, or form. And not only that, but through the energy-based system, they were able to produce many more different types of phenomena. In our case, in our group, we had over 80 different types of phenomena in the period that we were sitting, whereas a physical medium working with ectoplasm throughout their whole career rarely gets more than about 20 to 25 different types of phenomena occurring. So there's an awful lot of sort of advantage in using a newer method. And that's why they dictated this guide for us, which is available online to download if anybody wants to do that from the website I gave you earlier. And many of the groups all over the world that are on my site, which is another site I'll give you in a moment, have used this method and are seriously getting good results through it. But if anybody's interested in actually learning more about physical mediumship, and my site also has a number of international physical mediums who are able to demonstrate it, the website for that is http://physical mediumship 4, so physical mediumship 4, that's a number 4, followed by the letter U, so physical mediumship 4u.ning, NING.com. As I say, there's 2,200 plus on there now, many of them from Canada and the States, many from Australia. We have Swedish members, we have Danish members, Norwegian members, all over the place. We also have members from Spain, where I'm now living. And we're able to share information on there. It's a free website, that if anybody wants to join it.
So this one is http:// and could you go through it again? It is physical mediumship for you.
Physical mediumship number 4, and then the letter U, .ning.com.
Okay, and for everybody listening out there that doesn't have access to a way to write that down or make a note on your computer or your cell phone, if you sign up at supernaturalgirls.com for our newsletter, I will put it in the newsletter for next week, so you will see it there.
That's awesome. Wow, incredible information. Would we like to take another caller now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, we're welcoming Hugh. We're welcoming Hugh live on the line. Hello, Hugh. Do you have a question for Robin?
Yes. Hi. Fascinating show.
Hello, Hugh.
I understand you're over in England?
No, I'm in Spain. We were in England.
Oh, because I interacted with a woman, I don't know if you know of her, from England. Her name was Juliet Nightingale, and she had a site Toward the Light, and she was in and out of near-death almost all her life, and has quite a few interesting archived recordings of her shows that were very fascinating. And another,
I don't know her, I'm afraid.
Yes, and there's another gentleman in Australia.
Sorry, Hugh, I lost you for a minute. Go ahead.
Yes, Victor Zammit in Australia, a very extensive site on 100 years of studies.
Victor's a good friend, yes.
Oh, okay, yes. I thought you might know him because he has like 100 years of archived materials. It's quite fascinating.
He sits regularly with physical medium David Thompson, who is based in Australia, and David is also a good friend of ours.
Wonderful. And I know the veils are thinning, but do you get information related to how many dimensions? Are the dimensions crashing sometimes? And because I had an experience where I believe I encountered an interdimensional being. It was probably a gargoyle, and then everything went back to normal. It had to have gone back to normal. I didn't actually see it. I felt it and heard the audio, and it was in a situation where it should have been reported, but it never was, so it must have just closed back up, or I don't know how time dimensions fall into place in that regard.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people now are actually having interactions in some way with other dimensional beings. And we certainly did at Scole towards the end. We had the most wonderful, loving beings who actually materialized right in front of us and stood in front of us and allowed us to feel them. Their heads were not human, and they just, all of these characters, the love that came off them was like a wall. It was absolutely a physical feeling. It was wonderful. And additionally, we even had a miniature UFO that materialized in the room and flew around and sat in front of everybody's eyes so we could examine it.
Wow.
Amazing stuff.
That's great. I'll let you continue, but that's fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, Hugh. Thank you. Tell us more about this UFO. That's incredible.
Well, that's right. As I say, we actually had voice-to-voice communication with the other dimensions through this transdimensional communication device, and we were told that built into this device was a system which they called the IDOLIS system, which stood for Interdimensional Oral Language Interpretation System. So that, in fact, when these words came out of the amplifiers, they were in English, but it was a robotic English. So, in other words, whatever the input they put in their own language, we would never understand. So, the system that they built into this allowed us to hear these things in English, and it was quite amazing. We had people who have had experiences with other dimensional beings for many, many years, and who had their own interdimensional guides come materialize and speak to them at Scole, with wonderful evidence of their names, and it was just so fantastic.
That's incredible, and I do talk to interdimensionals occasionally, and generally, because they do have a different language, and sometimes the language is a series of clicks or noises or light waves or whatever, they're using to communicate, I find that they just trip me by giving me clear thought, so that I know what they're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
yes.
Yeah, so that's incredible that they could speak in our language so that you could understand them.
This is how we were getting it out of there, and of course it was just so fantastic. And we used to laugh at the time because, we all know that many governments have spent billions of pounds sort of with massive sort of cones and so forth, trying to listen for outer space communications, and there we were with a simple little tape recorder getting this wonderful stuff voice to voice.
Well, you know what? I have to say this. I mean, your hearts were pure, and clearly you were getting a very loving connection with the spirit world and the spirits therein, which I think says a lot about who you are as people and who your group was.
Well, we always felt that perhaps, we chose to come back to the Earth at this time for that particular experiment.
Oh, no kidding. So that was your destiny.
I think that was our destiny, although I now spend an awful lot of time helping people on this free website to get phenomena themselves, and it's the mediums that are developing now physical mediumship are getting some remarkable stuff. And we actually had David Thompson from Australia over here twice in Spain. So Sandra and I set that up. Plus, there is a marvelous physical medium in Germany called Kai Muger, who's also a member of my site. And Kai produces most wonderful phenomena now. And his guide is a scientist who was actually involved in a German university in parapsychology. So, it obviously come back to do the same work again from spirit.
Yes. I'm sure you've known each other before. I mean, this is again very exciting to me to see how much you've accomplished, how you've established other groups, and again, you are replicating a lot of the evidence that you found in the initial experiment. So again, that speaks to a scientific method where you are actually proving this over and over again. Yes, you survive after death. You are more than your physical body, as Bob Monroe used to say. it's true. And for anybody to think differently,
yes.
they'd have to be able to discount all of this marvelous evidence that is now taking place all over the world, that you're accumulating this evidence.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Can I ask you a question about
ongoing.
the airports? Did they give you any information about how that occurs or how they were able to manifest the physical?
They did, in fact, and I think we had something in the region of 85 plus airports in the period that we were sitting at Scole. The very first one of them was a coin, an English coin called a Churchill crown, and that was brought for us as a symbol of greater things to come. And if anybody knows me and knows my work very much, they'll know that. For 40 years now, I've had an input in whatever I've done with Winston Churchill. And I think probably one of the most memorable moments I had was last year when, in September last year, when David Thompson came over from Australia to us here at Spain. And during that seance, Winston Churchill materialized fully and walked into the room and said, "My name is Winston Churchill and I've come to speak to Robin Foy." Everybody was sitting there with their mouths open.
Now, what did he say? What did he tell you?
Well, he's been with us for years, and we've had lots of good chats with well, we call him Winnie, over the years, and memorably, the early ones were actually through physical medium Leslie Flint, who we sat with about 25 times in London. He had independent voice, very, very famous medium over in the UK. And you would be able to, with his independent voice, you could literally carry on a conversation with maybe 20 voices from midair during one of the seances. And Winnie always came and spoke to us there, as well as my own first introduction to him was, say, 40 years ago when I was working as a navigator for locum doctors in Birmingham in the UK, and I had to take calls for doctors, and there was one for a guy that had a heart attack and was in a bad way, and I had to navigate that doctor as fast as possible to where this guy was. It was the middle of the night, so we had powerful torches, but I arranged it so we intersected the road this guy lived in, and it was a long road, left and right, and I didn't know which way to turn. And I literally heard in my head at that time, Winston Churchill said, "Turn left, it's 500 yards on the right," and that's exactly what we did. And that guy would never know that his life was saved by Winston Churchill.
Oh my God, you had your own GPS right back then. Oh my goodness. So he's always been kind of a guide of yours in some way.
Well, we always call him a drop-in communicator rather than a guide, yeah.
A drop-in communicator, okay. I mean, what does he have to say about the state of the world today, or have you talked to him recently?
Oh, he's made an awful lot of comments about how the world is sort of going to pot at the moment.
I would agree.
And
yes.
He's made a few funny sort of observances about some of the government in the UK as well. But that apart, he's always been there for us, and we were told, all of the people that came and helped us at Scole from the spirit world. We actually, the four of us in the group and them actually came from the same source originally. So we obviously knew him from a past life, and the same with some of the others. So I think that's probably the connection.
Well, let me ask this. One thing that I found very unusual with this group of, the spirit team that you had working for you is that when I see them visually in my mind, and they're standing there right now, really, but they don't seem to be current scientists and people that passed away 20 years ago or 30 years ago. They really seem like late 1800s, early 1900s. And I'm wondering why this particular group of people stepped forward from that time period.
Well, I think perhaps because they've been working for a long time in the spirit world, to change the way that physical phenomena is seen. They all had an interest in physical phenomena in their own lifetimes, and they used pseudonyms when they were in our group or when we had any visitors present, but we knew exactly who they were. There was Sir William Crooks was one of them. He was known as William. There was Sir Oliver Lodge there. He was known as Joseph. We had a guy who called himself Edwin, and he was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So they're all people that had a great interest in this particular subject in their lifetimes.
So they were already connected. They were already connected on the other side.
And I think they were sort of working towards these new methods, and that's probably why they connected with us there.
I see. Because, there were a lot of modern scientists who passed away who were also very, in touch with the paranormal and doing that kind of research. So it kind of struck me that all these people had been gone for quite a long time.
Well, that's right in our case. But Professor Hans Bender, as I was saying, is actually, he only passed in the 1990s. And he's now sort of working as the main guide for Kai Muga.
Oh, okay.
Kai is the loveliest guy I've ever come across. He's a real pussycat, but he is a wonderful medium.
Well, I think it's time to take another short break, and I thank you so much for being with us, Robin, and all of the vast listening audience that's so fascinated by this discussion. We'll be back in just a few moments. Thank you for staying tuned.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Sometimes life can be a challenge. Would you like insight and guidance to help you make the best choices right now? Contact Helene at angelslighthouse.com to make your personal appointment for a psychic reading or energy alignment. Helene is a direct channel to the angelic realm and is remarkably capable of connecting to the living as well as to your loved ones on the other side. Helene is available to clients all over the world via phone or Skype, and it's simple to set up a group reading anywhere. Visit angelslighthouse.com, where you'll find an easy way to schedule right online. And while you're there, sign up for the Angels Lighthouse newsletter and receive information on all the free energy circles, giveaways, and jewelry with a message. Visit angelslighthouse.com and contact Helene today.
Well, welcome back, and thank you for staying tuned. Right now, we'd like to take another call. Is that okay with you, Robin and Patricia?
Yeah, I just have one quick question from the chat room I wanted to run by Robin, if that's okay, before we go to the phones. And this question is, he would like, not sure who it is, but Heisenberg69 says, "Hi, Robin. Has any materialization mediumship been conducted in full light to your knowledge?"
It has in the past. Very, very rare today that you will actually get materializations in full light. But having said that, when we were sitting at Scole, on many occasions we had materializations with spirit lighting. Spirit brought their own lighting, which allowed us to on many occasions see spirit personalities there, but not in full light, certainly not in white light.
What's the reason for that, Robin?
Well, in the ectoplasmic cases, white light certainly damages the ectoplasm and the medium. Red light is usually the one that's used, but full red lighting has been used many times in the past. But the spirit world was very much closer to the Earth at that time and easier for them to communicate because of the fact we didn't have the electrical circuits and the pylons with all the electrical wires spreading all over the country in the late Victorian era. That causes problems, and I think this is probably why it was easier for them then to get this in the light. But having said that, we've really only revived physical mediumship since about 1990. It was dying out at that time, and Sandra and I actually started a new organisation called the Noah's Ark Society in 1990, which was to bring physical mediumship back. And we succeeded in doing that, very much so. But then we left after 4 years because the job, all of a sudden we were getting stuff at Scole, and we had to do one or the other. And we left other people doing that. But through that organisation and through the Scole Experiment, there's now a tremendous interest in physical again. It's coming back. And as the development is happening, the mediums that are doing the development are starting to get it in better and better light. Kai Muga, for instance, now has a display of ectoplasm that everybody can witness in red light. And last year, for the very first time, his spirit team allowed it to be seen in white light. So I think that this is coming back. It just takes a time to develop it. David Thompson out in Australia, his spirit team is working towards developing it in full light. So it will happen. It's just taking time.
Well, thank you for that, Robin. That's a great answer, and that was a great question.
Okay, well, let's welcome Jennifer from Canada. And Jennifer, you're live on the air. Do you have a question for Robin?
Thank you. Yes, I do. Hi, Robin. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. I'm calling to find out how important is it in determining who is in a physical mediumship group?
It's important to get the harmony right in the group. That is absolutely vital. So you must have harmony between the sitters. You also must have the right motivation in the sitters, and within the group you should also have a desire to be of service and help to mankind. So you're really looking to have a very pure motivation to help others in developing your physical phenomena. And if you have the right motivation and you've got the right harmony, then you will develop it. And generally speaking, now more people are developing it in the newer way with energy-based phenomena rather than the traditional ectoplasm-based phenomena. Although I have to say that my experience in the last 2 years has taught me that perhaps the spirit world are now mixing the two a little, so that the ectoplasm-based phenomena is not as dangerous to the medium as it was in the past.
That's interesting. Can I ask one other thing? when I've done physical phenomenon in the past, there was a lot of noise associated, like singing and chanting and that sort of thing. But it sounds to me like you have a lot of trance going on. So is there a better way, or does it just depend on the group?
Well, it depends on the method you use. If you're working in the newer energy-based way, it's not recommended to sort of sing and shout and dance about an awful lot, as it was when people were using ectoplasm. And in fact, all it really requires in the newer way is to have background music playing, not necessarily loudly, and a variety of music. And it's all explained in the booklet if you want to download that at all. But it's helped so many people to develop phenomena, and people have come back to me and they're reporting results within about a month now, which is fantastic. But it isn't necessary to work in the same way as they did in the past and sing loud songs to get things going. That was important for people who work with ectoplasm.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Jennifer, for the call. We appreciate it.
Yeah, great questions tonight. I'll tell you, these are really
great
thoughtful questions.
They really are.
I have one in the chat room, actually two, but I'm going to ask one, and then maybe we'll run back to the phones. Here is a question from Deep Ocean Blue. They would like to know, did some spirits follow you when you were back at home?
I'm not 100% with that. Do they mean did they hang around?
Did they follow you after you left? After you left the room where you did the mediumship?
No. They were still around us, but they never really interfered or made any connection with us other than during the sittings.
Well, that's nice. See, Helene, you would like that. I know you don't like
they're very anxious.
They're
very anxious to connect with Robin again. And I have to ask you this question, Robin, because I keep seeing the same being. And actually it's a child. And I've gotten two children in connection with this group today, and one of them is a little boy. And he is, children come through. I mean, they look like children, but they're not really children. They're fully developed souls of their own evolution and so forth. And he sort of keeps extending his hand with this beautiful ball of light in it. And I think they're just sending you love and wanting to be back in connection with your former group, And I don't know if they're...
in fact, we are, Sandra and I are just starting, in fact, this very next week, sitting seriously again with another couple to get the phenomena back. Maybe he's just encouraging us there. But it is interesting because, in fact, we used to have spirit lights, and when spirits materialized, they would very often hold one of these balls of light in their hand, then walk round the room so that we could see both their hand, and they would hold it under their chin so that we could see their face.
Oh, so that's his connection to you. But did you see any children come through as a result of your group?
We did have one child who we picked up in California as a little girl, and she stayed with us at that time.
Fascinating. So I don't know who this boy is in connection with your group, but he's clearly with the rest of the members. And was there a woman who came through named Evelyn? Because I keep hearing the name Evelyn.
There was an Emily.
Emily.
I would imagine that you might be picking up Emily.
Okay. Fascinating. Well, we'll get them a message that you'll be sitting again. And they're just hanging there waiting patiently. A lot of men in this group, not that many women that I see. And it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. I mean, the way I felt them in my room last night was just, again, it was I don't know, see, I'm struggling for words because it was such an otherworldly experience, but it had such a visceral feel to it.
I'm not sure that Robin heard your story at the beginning of the program, Patricia.
Oh, well, I know.
No, I missed that, I think, Yeah,
it was just so amazing. And again, these people feel like they have more of a physicality to them than the other people that I've spoken with who have passed. So
yeah.
I think Robin missed the beginning where you said that a whole bunch of them were in your room.
A whole bunch of them were there, and they were touching me, and I felt them touch me. I felt it. And they're also interfering with my phone line. You stinkers, better stop it. I don't know if they meant to, but what happened was I got kicked
I don't
off.
think so.
I got kicked off the call with the radio show. So, anyways, I had to call back in. It was just, you probably didn't even miss me, but
I saw it.
But the energy in the room right now is very high, and I can feel that there's something opening, even as we're all talking about this. They're busy little bees over there. So
right, absolutely. Mm.
They are.
Anyway, so we've got more questions. We've got lots of questions still in the chat room. I know we've got a lady, Rebecca, who's been waiting online very patiently. Should we take the call next, Helene?
I think we spoke to her.
Oh, because she's still in.
She was the one who was talking about orbs.
Okay, so we've taken care of Rebecca. I've got a question here. Somebody said they need a little more clarification. They don't understand how mediumship or sitting in a seance can endanger one's life. So maybe, Robin, if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And really I'm only referring to the traditional method where there was one medium who went into deep trance throughout the session, and whilst he was in deep trance, he gave out this substance known as ectoplasm.
And it comes right out of the body, right?
It's a life essence material, ectoplasm. It comes right out of their body from every orifice in a human body it can come out of. And it's only the medium, basically, not the sitters that are in any danger. But if somebody goes there with the intention of doing something daft, like putting a light on in the middle of a sitting, then it can actually shoot the ectoplasm straight back into the medium's body. And can cause some internal damage to them. Yeah,
because it disrupts the electric current and so forth, right?
Absolutely, and I mean, at the very least, they end up with quite a bad burn on their body where the ectoplasm has shot back into the body. And that really is why the danger was involved in sitting in the more traditional way. But in the newer way, as Spirit have assured us, and we know to be the case, there is no danger whatsoever to either the mediums or the sitters. It's just done on a very natural basis, absolutely nothing to be afraid of. It's all done with love. Love is the key. Love is the key to the whole thing. And love comes from the spirit world, and we give love back. And it's love is the basis of everything in the spirit world. So everything is benevolent, and there is no bad intent from spirit at all.
Now, bringing up the bad intent, the previous caller asked about how do you pick someone for a group, and you were talking about clear intention and pure motives and so forth. Do you think that spirits should be asked if someone is allowed in the group? Because, to me, all of this is kind of based on vibration. Is someone of a very high vibration?
I mean, there's quite a long explanation in our basic guide about picking sitters and getting people that are absolutely right for you. You really have to sort of sit for spirit and not sit for yourself in a group like that. And I mean, the whole thing is that the group itself is the medium, if you like. Yeah. It's not one particular person, but we do get a lot of situations where one person joins a group with the sole intention that they will develop as a physical medium, and you really have to sort of all be in harmony and agree that you're sitting for the spirit world, and whoever is chosen, that's fine by everybody that sits there.
Yeah. Now, was there any kind of protection prayers or any guides or ascended masters, angels that you connected with before you sat down? Or?
Yeah, always. There is an opening prayer. I mean, I'm not a spiritualist as such. I think we'll probably describe ourselves as spiritual scientists, which is what the group what the spirit team wanted us to call ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I look upon myself perhaps now in spreading the word as a bit of an ambassador for the spirit world. But very much, we always ask a sort of prayer at the beginning, just simply asking to connect and asking for protection whilst we sit. And that was automatic. And, of course, we also, at the end of the sitting, there's a closing prayer, and you thank Spirit for everything that's occurred. And we finished off every sitting just before the closing prayer with healing. We had some really remarkable healing came out of that group as well. One of the things they developed there was we had some amazing little, very small spirit lights that dashed about the room everywhere and sort of did aerobatics for us, which was quite fascinating. It was like a firework night when that happened. But they developed it so that these little lights, which would often come and sit on your hand, you could feel they had a mass, they weighed something. They would actually come and enter your body. And I was used as a guinea pig for that in the beginning. And the light would sort of shoot into my body, probably into my chest, move around inside your body, and it's a feeling rather like a little butterfly flying around inside you, and then it would shoot out of my arm a couple of minutes later. And that was used in the end for healing. I mean, while we were out in California, there was a lady there who had the most awful pains in her knees and hadn't been able to really move properly for the best part of 10 years. And she came and sat with us in Los Angeles. And the first time she sat, this little spirit light went into one of her knees and gave her healing. And after that sitting, she never had a problem with that knee again. But she was so chuffed with the result, she came back to another sitting, and the little light went into her other knee. And to my knowledge, I mean, this is going back to 1997. And to my knowledge, she's never had any more problems with those knees. They're perfectly okay all this time later.
Now, that's what healing should be all about. What a great experience for her. And here we have no medication she has to take, no side effects. I mean, it's perfect. And that's amazing.
Absolutely nothing.
This came from the light of the Spirit. So from the other side to us, there is healing to be had. That's very exciting.
That's it indeed, yes, yeah.
I have another question here in the chat room. Deep Blue is writing in and wants to know how many people need to sit together for this type of mediumship.
We recommend an ideal largest group is 6, but you can really start with 3, and a very ideal number for us is 4. 4 is a very good number.
And 4 that are actual physical mediums, or because I know before you said
no, nobody needs to be a physical medium to start off.
Okay, see that's
the group acts as a medium, and it's the very fact that you're sitting in this energy method, which the way that it works, I should just explain, is that the creative energy, they produce this by combining 3 different types of energy together. Firstly, there's the spiritual energy of the people that are in the group. Secondly, there's the energy that the spirit team bring with them from the spirit world. And thirdly, in various places in the world, there are columns of energy, which it's a natural thing in different places. And this column of energy is combined with the other 2 energies. It forms a creative energy, which they then stored, in our case, in a glass dome in the room, and they were able to use that for producing the phenomena. And if we went, say, to California, as we did, the dome would stay at Scole, but they apported a crystal cluster, which we called our traveling crystal, for us to take with us. And when we were in California, the crystal cluster was on the table, but they were able to take the energy from Scole and beam it, if you like, right across to California into this traveling crystal and work with it in that way.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, energy is never far away. We're all connected, right, Robin? So.
And
absolutely.
Time and space isn't what we think, so that's just remarkable. Now, I have more questions coming for you, Robin. Here is One again from Deep Blue Ocean. Deep Blue Ocean wants to know, can the group get results if it does not sit regularly because of their busy lives, instead of every week or twice a week, maybe twice a month?
Basically, I mean, if you sit regularly and you sit once a month, you could still get results, but it's going to take an awful lot longer than it would do if you were sitting once a week. And if you were sitting twice a week, it'd be even shorter. So it's relevant to the number of times perhaps that you sit, but you do need to sit on a regular basis. Some of the groups that are on my site and are getting phenomena are only sitting once every 2 weeks. So it is possible to do that. But once you start to get phenomena, you find that everybody gets so enthusiastic that you want to sit more often.
Oh, I bet. Once you start seeing things like that, you can't wait to get to the next session. That's fantastic.
That's right.
Oh, my. And here's another question from Marigold 930, who says, speaking of little lights, I see a tiny purple, a tiny purple light, and she would like to know, she said, I see a tiny purple light momentarily from time to time. Could you tell me what type of spirit that might be?
It is purely and simply a spirit trying to connect, and we were told that, in fact, the spirit lights that we saw, these little individual spirit lights that we saw, were actually part of a spirit personality. So that, to my mind, is a spirit personality that's just trying to connect.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but those little flashing lights that you see momentarily, sometimes when angelic energy is around and other kinds of high vibration spirits, it can almost look like a group of little flashing lights. It's just, to me, sort of their energy coming through and making itself known. And so purple...
that's right.
Yeah, purple I don't see very often, but it could be a high vibration, like an ascended master or an angel or something that's coming around her. Yeah.
Purple is a very good colour for that, and we were so lucky at Scole because we actually had miniature angels that built up on the table in the centre of the room and then floated around the room, trailing their robes over people's hands.
Wow.
How
really?
exciting.
That is so exciting.
This makes me want to do this. It really does.
Now, did they make themselves known as like lesser angels, or were they talking to you or identifying themselves, or?
No, they never communicated with us in words, but they did exude this wonderful love.
Yeah,
the
love's
the room.
Amazing. Yeah,
and absolutely fantastic. But we were told by the spirit team that what we were seeing was the angels as they were, but it was entirely up to them as to how large they showed themselves. And I mean, it's a fact of life that during the Apollo missions and the various other moon missions, actually outside the spacecraft, they actually saw angels and this was kept very much in the dark at the time.
It's out there now. I've seen the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, so
right.
They were seeing it.
Oh, my goodness. Now, we have established that you've had contact with people from a century or so ago. What about any contact from the spirit world from Atlanteans? Have you had anything from that or ancient Egypt?
Very, very much connection with ancient Egypt, but we do think that a number of the people, I mean, we were told that there were literally 1,000 or more in the group that we would call our spirit team, but there were only a very few, perhaps up at the front, that were the sort of master of ceremonies and people who would actually communicate and talk to us on a regular basis. But there are very many people who were from more modern times as well as the ancient times, and in fact, I mean, Churchill, who was working with us, sort of passed from his last lifetime in the 1960s, so it's not all that long ago. But again, the Atlantean and the Egyptian strings down there, we have been told in the past, Sandra and I and the other members of the group at the time, that we actually can trace our own past lives back to that period.
I see.
Well, the technology was so far advanced then, and I was just wondering if they were able to impart any information to you about that.
we did have some information given to us at that time. I mean, for instance, we were told exactly how the pyramids were built in Egypt, and basically it was all done by sound. Even today, there are lamas in Tibet that are able to levitate massive great blocks of stone simply by producing a musical sound. And that's exactly how it was done. I don't think it was realistic, the way that we're taught in history, that there were thousands of slaves dragging these dirty great blocks across the desert. It was just done basically by a sound that would levitate the massive great pieces of stone.
And that's what was described as what created that place in Florida, the gentleman from Europe who built his castle there, and that's what was hypothesized, that he used sound. He cracked the code of the Egyptians, and he was able to use sound to do the same thing, and that's how he created his castle and moved huge blocks of stone and all by himself. So that makes perfect sense to me. They certainly did seem to be masters of vibration. That's fascinating.
That's right.
I have another question here. The chat room is very excited tonight. Again, from Heisenberg69. Hi, Robin. Again, are you familiar with the work of Dr. Julie, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, Beischel of the Windbridge Institute, and her work scientifically investigating mental mediumship, gaining positive results? Could physical mediumship be investigated in this way?
No, I'm not actually aware of her work as such, because my own connection over 40 years has been very much intimately with physical mediumship right from the start. So I haven't sort of gone quite so deeply into mental mediumship, although I know a lot about it. But no, it's been physical from our point of view. And physical mediumship can certainly be investigated scientifically, and was to a certain extent, whilst we were at Scole, by 3 senior scientific figures from the Society of Psychical Research.
Yes, people have to watch that movie, and if they would go over to supernaturalgirls.com, they'll find a link right there to the amazing documentary about the Scole Experiment. And we thank you for staying with us, Robin. This is just so fascinating. Right now we're going to take another short break, and we appreciate everyone staying tuned, and we'll take some more phone calls when we can return in just a moment.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Sometimes life can be a challenge. Would you like insight and guidance to help you make the best choices right now? Contact Helene at angelslighthouse.com to make your personal appointment for a psychic reading or energy alignment. Helene is a direct channel to the angelic realm and is remarkably capable of connecting to the living as well as to your loved ones on the other side. Helene is available to clients all over the world via phone or Skype, and it's simple to set up a group reading anywhere. Visit angelslighthouse.com, where you'll find an easy way to schedule right online. And while you're there, sign up for the Angels Lighthouse newsletter and receive information on all the free energy circles, giveaways, and jewelry with a message. Visit angelslighthouse.com and contact Helene today.
Thank you to everyone for staying tuned to this exciting show with our fabulous guest, Robin Foy, author of Witnessing the Impossible. And thank you, Robin, for staying with us. We really appreciate your time. Right now we're going to take a question from Pat in Connecticut. Hello, Pat. You're live on the air with Robin Foy and Patricia.
Hi. I don't know if, hi, Robin. I don't know if you can answer this or even want to. I'm confused, sort of grasping all of this, which is actually very exciting. I haven't been confused by much lately, so this is neat. You talked about angels around the space shuttles. I had a vision the night before the Space Challenger explosion, and there were a number of things that I saw. I had no idea what I was seeing. I was on the ground. No, I was up in the air looking down at the pyramids, and in between the blocks, fire. I could see red glow from fire, and it was pulsating. And then I was down on the ground, and it was raining white chrysanthemums. And then I saw, as if I was looking at a movie screen, a profile of an astronaut, and it was sort of like the Flash Gordon era. And he was rocking back and forth. It was just his head. And he had so much love. It was unbelievable, the feeling of the love. And he was saying something like, it's all as it's supposed to be.
Yes.
So
I think really what he sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're really getting there is that he's telling you that everything is predestined, and I think that's to a certain extent that's quite true. We sign up to a certain extent when we come over here back from the spirit world, which incidentally the spirit world is our natural home, and we go back to the spirit world from where we came, but we actually choose to a certain extent the parents we're going to have in this world that will allow us to have the experiences we need to have to take us further forward spiritually. And I think even when you have a disaster such as that with astronauts in experimentation, to a certain extent, there's a pre-knowledge before that spirit person comes back to Earth that this might be something that they have to do.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell me why this is making me feel so excited, this information you're giving? It almost, what I'm hearing in my head is, it's sort of like it sounds like home to me, and somehow I want to connect with this because it feels almost more important than the life that I know.
Well, I'm finding people all over the world are beginning to come to this realization now that it is important what we've done and what other people are doing and how they can be helped to actually get phenomena. And then once you get it, it's the most wonderful thing to have this feeling of love around you in a room and literally, sort of communicating solidly and interacting with spirit personalities who are just, totally full of love. And people get hooked on it. I have. I spent 40 years hooked on it. And a lot of people are coming to the same realization and the same feeling now.
When you say get phenomena, what do you mean?
Well, basically, it'll put a little group together. Say you only need 3 or 4 people, and you can develop some wonderful phenomena.
Okay, so can I do this? Because you know what? What I'm feeling is that this is more real what I've experienced in my life. And I think in my life I've felt very unhappy at being very, just here and not, not home or not.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you understand.
So a lot of people,
absolutely.
I think a lot of people feel that way when you get a taste of spirit. It's sort of like, what am I doing here? Did I really elect or to be drafted for this? Because the planet is a very dense and difficult place to navigate, and the kind of love that comes through from the other side is so phenomenal that it is something you can kind of get hooked on. And I don't know about you, Robin, but my feeling about that is that at one point in my life I was too involved in it, and somehow there has to be a balance between maintaining your life here and maintaining a connection with others.
There does, very much so, and this is how my wife and I have really sort of spent our life being totally balanced with this, and it's worked out extremely well.
So what would you recommend for me to follow now?
I would suggest that your best bet would possibly be sort of download the basic guide from my website and follow that, and I'm sure you'll find it's very easy. It's very self-explanatory, and it's very simple language that was dictated to us by our spirit team, and people all over the world with groups now are getting successful results.
Great. This is really exciting. Thank you so much. I'm so glad.
Thank you for the call, Pat.
Yeah, and thank you, Supernatural Girls. This is just a great new discovery. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
My goodness, I'm sorry, Helene. Can I ask one question from the chat room again?
Yeah, I just wanted Robin to give the website again for that book. That's so phenomenal.
Okay, yes, the book site is www.scoleexperiment, all one word, .com.
Okay, and we need the website where they can download the book for physical mediumship.
That's the website where they can download it from. And my own website where we've got 2,200 members, http physical mediumship 4 and the letter U .ning .ning.com.
Perfect.
And that's free to join.
Oh, great, and that's perfect, and we will put it out on our next Supernatural Girls newsletter, and everyone will have it. Yeah,
so if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, go to supernaturalgirls.com and just hit the subscribe tab and fill in your information, and you'll be sure to get a copy of next week's newsletter, which will include this website. And let's see, there's a question from Steve who says, hello, Robin, Helene, and Patricia. Great show tonight. Robin, have you had any conversations with John F. Kennedy?
No, but I have had communications and talks with Abraham Lincoln.
Really? And what was that like?
Rather fantastic.
No kidding. Well, do tell. We want the details.
Well, as it happens, we believe, I did mention to you at the very beginning that there was like a group of very sort of evolved spirit beings who oversaw a number of groups that sat for phenomena, etc. And we had one which called themselves the Council of Communion. And they were 13 evolved individuals in the spirit world who actually oversaw these different groups for communication. And our main contact in there was a spirit who called himself Paxton, or peace in Latin. And another one of those members of that group was Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my goodness! I'm speechless. That's really something I didn't expect to hear. That's fantastic. Well, Steve, I hope that answers your question. So no to JFK, but yes to Abraham Lincoln. That's pretty remarkable. And let me go also back and revisit the alien extraterrestrial UFO experience that you had with your mediumship group. Did you have a sense that these beings were interdimensional or actually living on other planets? I mean, what was your experience of them?
No, we had different types of characters that we connected with through this transdimensional communication device. Some had physical lives like us and were living on planets. Certainly, the one that materialized a lot, we called him Blue. And you actually, I think I sent you a picture of him,
yes.
Sort of along with the others. And he became almost like one of our children in many ways. And he materialized over here in Spain again. We had some physical mediums came over and stayed with us 6 years ago from the UK. And during that period, this character Blue, who is, like a blue-coloured ET, materialized again.
Is he from the constellation? Is he from the constellation Sirius?
Yes, I think he probably is. Yeah.
Okay.
And he spoke to us again, and he used the words "Mum," "Dad." And I mean, obviously, not because we're his parents, but I think he realised that was a term of endearment. And the love that came from that being was absolutely fantastic. But we also interacted with all sorts of different other types of beings who materialised, who were not human and had all sorts of bodies, really. So there was some physical, but there were also beings that existed purely and simply as
energetic,
different types of energies. Yes, that's right.
Wow, this is just remarkable. Oh my goodness, just remarkable.
What would you say, Robin, was the single most memorable experience for you, the one that meant the most to you? Which one would you pick?
Well, the one that meant the most to me was actually when Winston materialized with David Thompson's mediumship, but in our own group. The one thing that convinced the scientists that everything at Scole was genuine was an experiment that was done by the spirit team for them, in that a spirit hand that was self-illuminated picked up a self-illuminated crystal that had a spirit light in it and put it in a bowl on the table in front of us. And one of the scientists had his chin virtually right on the bowl, so nobody could do anything whilst they were watching this. And the spirit said to them, "You can see this," and it was quite a large crystal in there, and they all said, "Yes, we can see it." It remained illuminated exactly the same, and they said, "Pick it up." And one by one, the three scientists picked up this crystal and said, "Okay, yes, and they put it back again. And then one by one, they were told, "Pick it up again." And this time, it had remained illuminated all the way through, and this time, as they tried to pick this crystal up, their fingers just went straight through it. It was visible, but it was not there.
Now, that's on the video, too. Right?
They repeated this 3 times, and that convinced totally these scientists that all this was genuine. But the one thing was that Spirit told us that this experience was virtually exactly the same as happens to us when we die, in that what they were experiencing, or what they were seeing, was the spiritual essence of the crystal. They'd removed the atoms and the molecules from the crystal so that it was no longer solid, but we were seeing the spiritual essence of that crystal, and that's exactly what our soul is. So that when we die, our body is just left behind, but the spiritual essence of us remains exactly as it did for that crystal. And I think that also meant an awful lot to us, to have that confirmed, that this is exactly what it's all about.
And that's a remarkable explanation, very simple and very easy to understand, because, of course, energy never dies and our soul continues to soar. Amazing.
That's right.
Just a beautiful illustration. How perfect that they use that. I love it. It's just great. Well, Robin, we could talk to you all night, you know. You can have all night for us. Now you're waking up to the day there in Spain, right?
Yeah, it's nearly 4 o'clock in the morning here.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you think that a movie will get produced based on your experiments and all the videos that you have? Or
there have been talks about that, but whether or not it'll happen, we don't know. We do believe that the work which we're about to start again will be extremely important, so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
What do you think the larger message is for humanity with all of this work? And I understand, you know, love is the most powerful energy in the universe and all of that, but do you think that they intend to actually bring helpful information that's very concrete to humanity, or is their sole purpose to sort of raise consciousness, awareness, and vibration of humanity?
No. I think they want to bring information through to help us on this earth, because let's face it, you know, we humans have messed this earth up dreadfully, and there's too much violence and all sorts of things that we've done to, you know, to really mess the planet up. And I think that, you know, obviously they're very concerned about this spirit, and in a way they think of us here in a physical life as their children, so they have this great love for us and a great love to want to help us. So I'm sure that that's what's going to happen in the future. There'll be a lot more information comes through, not just from spirit, but spirit are actually working hand in hand with the other dimensions. So it's going to come jointly, I think, from spirit and from the other dimensions.
Now, the way I've heard some of the information is that we are actually an absolute necessary connection for them. And so as our world vibration reduces, they are actually bothered and affected by this. And so that's part of the reason.
Absolutely, because it affects the whole of the universe,
So we're kind of rabble-rousers, huh, Robin?
Troublemakers, every one of us, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow, fascinating information. I'm bowled over by all the work that you and your group did. I mean, it's just incredible, and I think that when you get together again, you're going to actually be accessing this at a higher level than you did before, is the way I'm getting it?
Yeah, that's what we believe, yes.
Wow.
And it's a benefit to all of us on the planet. And it's so wonderful what you're doing with your website of bringing all these people together who want to participate in this and basically report back and give their information. It's all going to be a helpful healing experience. And you've brought so much love and light.
I mean, it's very much a sharing experience. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a sharing experience for us all, I think.
Well, that's a great way to put it. And you've brought so much love and light to us on our show tonight, Robin. Thank you. And I know to our audience who's been so enthralled and hanging on your every word to hear your experiences, it's very different to listen to you talk about this in this manner versus a typical medium to dead person experience. I mean, this is a very high level of love and energy and healing that you're bringing with the Scole Experiment and everything else that you're doing. And thank you. Wonderful work.
Okay.
It's remarkable,
No
Robin.
problem.
And thank you so much for taking your time, and especially in the middle of the night to come over.
Yes, my goodness.
Incredible. Yeah, thank you.
I'll go and get my head down now, I think.
We hope you come back again, Robin.
Yes, we'd love to have
All
you
right,
back,
thanks.
Robin. Thank you.
Okay, then.
All
Cheers
righty.
now.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night. And for everybody, please stay tuned. We want to tell you a little bit about our guest coming up next week is Robert Bingham. And Robert is known as a man who can call down UFOs. And he's going to be calling down a UFO for us to see next week before the show. So we are hoping to have still photography for you and also videos of what Robin is going to bring, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be very exciting. We're also going to have a mystery guest on with Robert to talk about, again, the veracity of UFOs, that they are true, they are real, they are here, It's going to be another exciting show for Supernatural Girls. And if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, please do so at supernaturalgirls.com. Keep up on all our news, all our giveaways, and be sure to visit Helene's website at angelslighthouse.com.
Patricia, this show is just unbelievable.
I know it. Isn't it? I mean, my mind is just still trying to wrap around all of this great information.
It really is, and I don't know. I'm still thinking about whether I'd like to join a group like that or not. But
I'm just going to drag you kicking and screaming like I always do.
Wow. Well, it was mind-blowing, and I hope everybody gets to supernaturalgirls.com to the link to the YouTube documentary that's posted about the Scole Experiment, because it is amazing to watch.
They will see what we saw, all of the film, all of the photography that they produced. I mean, it is quite remarkable. I was absolutely spellbound by the whole production, and I think there should be a movie about this. This would be very eye-opening for a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that need to have their consciousness raised about this. We need to stop being discriminatory about people that have died. That's they've died, but it doesn't mean they've left completely. Their essence has just been rearranged, and their atoms have been rearranged, but their souls are still there. So it's just what a wonderful time we've had with Robin.
He was a remarkable speaker, and also, the stories that he shared was so interesting. So, wow. Go download his books. Go purchase both of them. I know one of them was free, the one about how to start your own group, and we'll post those links on next week's newsletter. And thank you, Patricia.
And thank you, Helene. And for all of our listeners, if you know anybody else that missed the show tonight, all of our shows are archived. Go to supernaturalgirls.com and pass that on to everybody so they can also listen to the show.
Well, it's time to say goodnight, Patricia, and this 2 hours went awfully fast.
Good night, Helene. It was another wonderful evening with you and with all our listeners. Thanks.
And with you. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with